Level 1, the new hire. You arrive at the building on a Monday in clothes that are slightly too formal. A badge is waiting for you at the front desk with your name spelled almost correctly. They take your photograph, your signature, your bank details, the emergency contact you list as the person you would want called if something happened to you here. They give you a number, an employee ID, a number. They give you a laptop that isn't configured, a desk that smells like the person who sat there before you, and a stack of policies that nobody actually follows. You are assigned to a team and walked through an open floor that seems to stretch for miles. People look at you from behind monitors, from doorways, from the kitchen where the good coffee is. They are evaluating you the way an organization evaluates new tissue. Not with hostility, with calculation. You don't know it yet, but the moment you sat down at that desk, a clock started ticking. You have somewhere between 1 week and 1 quarter to figure out who you are in here. In the world before this, you were a person with a degree, a history, opinions, a sense of yourself built over years. None of that loads on the first day. In here, you are nothing yet. A blank head count, and other people are about to decide what you are, whether you participate or not. The first thing you learn is that everyone in this building belongs to something. Engineering runs the roadmap, sales owns the number, and the number owns everything. Finance controls which projects live and which quietly die. Legal has arrangements with leadership that nobody explains in any meeting. If you came in unaffiliated, if you don't have a manager who fights for you, a mentor, a team that claims you, you are exposed. Neutral sounds like safety. Neutral is the most dangerous thing you can be. You eat lunch alone on your first day. You sit at an empty table and feel the floor noticing you. Someone sits down across from you. They don't really introduce themselves. They look at you for a moment and ask, "So what team are you on?" That question is not small talk. It is the most important question you will be asked in this building. Your answer decides what happens next. Level 2, the associate. Someone decided you're worth developing. Maybe it's the school on your resume. Maybe it's a project you shipped somewhere else that earns a certain kind of respect in here, because certain accomplishments do, and certain ones quietly earn the opposite. Maybe someone vouched for you, someone already inside when you arrived, someone who knew your work, or sat next to your old boss at a conference a decade ago. The industry is smaller in here than anyone outside could understand. You are an associate now. You don't have real authority. You haven't been trusted with anything that matters yet, but you are being watched, evaluated, handed small tasks to see how you handle them. They ask you to own a document, and not ask too many questions about why it exists. You own it. You don't ask. That is the correct answer. They ask you to sit in a meeting and say nothing. Just absorb. You say nothing. You absorb. That is the correct answer. They ask you to handle something tedious and invisible, work that has no glory, and only downside if it breaks. You handle it. You don't complain. That is the correct answer. You are learning the language of this place. Not the spoken language, though that has its own vocabulary, its own acronyms, words that mean different things inside than they mean anywhere else. You are learning the unspoken language. The way a calendar invite with no agenda is a warning. The way being copied on an email means something specific. The way a senior person who used to stop by your desk suddenly stops doing that. You are learning to read the temperature of a room before you enter it. You are learning that everything communicates something, and that reading it correctly is the difference between a promotion and a quiet conversation with HR. Level 3, the individual contributor. You are in now. The full role, the real title, no longer a probationary anything. Whatever review marked your entry into the real headcount, you passed it. It probably cost you some weekends. That was the point. You are a soldier of the org now, the bottom of the hierarchy that matters, but no longer the bottom of the food chain. That distinction means more than almost anything else. You are protected. Not perfectly, not unconditionally, but protected. The people around you are your team in a way the word barely captures. You have covered for them. Some of them have covered for you, in ways you may never fully know. Your job is simple to describe and brutal to live. You execute. You take the tickets, the tasks, the asks that fall from above. You don't get to question the strategy. You don't get to renegotiate the deadline. You deliver. The product that ships, the revenue that closes, the fires that get put out at 11 at night. You are the instrument of all of it. When leadership decides something must launch by a date that makes no sense, you are the one who makes the date real with your own hours. You don't plan these things. You don't capture the upside in any meaningful way. You take the risk. Others take the credit. This is the fundamental economic arrangement of every company that has ever existed, and you are at the bottom of it. But here is what it gives you that you cannot price. You walk into the room and you have a seat. You belong to something. You have not eaten lunch alone since the day you were staffed onto the team. That might sound small. It is not small. You have watched what isolation does to the people who never found a crew. You are not going to let it happen to you. Level 4. The team lead. You have a reputation now. It didn't come from nowhere. There was a launch a year in that people still mention, a thing you saved when it was going to fail. You don't bring it up. Mentioning it would shrink it. The reputation grew on its own, which is the only way a reputation like this grows. Leadership noticed. They always notice. A team lead is not simply someone who works hard. The floor is full of people who work hard. Companies run on burnout the way other economies run on currency. A lead is someone precise, someone who understands that pressure is a tool, and like any tool, its value depends entirely on how and when you apply it. Uncontrolled pressure is a liability. It causes attrition. It draws attention from HR, from skip levels, from the engagement surveys that occasionally make leadership pretend to care. Controlled pressure, applied to the right person at the right moment, is the foundation of delivery. You are the foundation of delivery now. You collect on commitments. Not all commitments are written down. Some people owe you a favor. Some people owe you silence about a mistake you covered. Some people have been quietly looking for other jobs in ways that put your roadmap at risk. You have conversations with these people. Most of those conversations end with them deciding to do what they should have been doing all along. Some escalate to documentation, to plans, to managed exits. When they escalate, you are ready. You are efficient. You feel less about it than you expected to. You have noticed that you feel less than you expected. You don't follow that thought very far. There is nowhere useful for it to go. Level 5. The manager. They elevated you because you demonstrated the one thing most contributors never develop: judgment. Anyone can execute. Almost anyone can grind. What almost no one can do is look at a tangled situation with competing priorities and incomplete information and consequences that ripple in 6 directions and make a call that turns out to be right. You've made those calls. You've been right more than wrong. Now you are a manager. You run your part of the building the way someone runs a small business inside a larger one. You have leads who report to you. You have contributors beneath them. You handle disputes constantly, over credit, over scope, over who owns what, over a slight in a meeting that someone has not let go of for 3 weeks. You handle disputes with other departments, and those require the most care, because a negotiation that goes badly becomes open conflict, which means escalations, which means the work stalls, which means leadership above you is displeased. You manage the budget. You take your cut of every headcount and every dollar that moves through your territory, not as cash, but as influence, which is the only currency that compounds here. You are also managing something more dangerous than money or scope. You are managing information. You know things about people, about the company, about decisions made quietly, that could end careers on both sides. That knowledge is your real power. It is also your greatest vulnerability. The person who knows too much is always in danger from the people he knows too much about. Level 6. The connector. You have been here 4 years of what feels like a 12-year sentence. In that time, you built something rare. A network. Not just inside your own department, but across departments, which almost no one manages, because the territorial lines between functions are almost geological in their permanence. But you found the seams. You found where ideology bends under the pressure of getting things done. You found that the head of engineering and the head of sales will sit in a room together if the deal is good enough and the person arranging it is trusted enough. You are that person. You are the connector. Things flow through you. The approvals that unstick projects. The headcount that moves between orgs through quiet conversations. The information that travels between teams that officially distrust each other and privately need each other to keep the whole machine running. You have relationships with people at companies across the industry. Your network extends beyond these walls in ways the org chart cannot see. You are 41. You have been doing this since you were 29. The world outside continued without you, in ways that are hard to fully measure. Your daughter is 16 now. You see her at dinner when you make it home before she's in her room. She looks at you across the table with something you can't quite name. Not resentment, something more complicated than resentment. You think about that look at night, in the quiet, after the laptop finally closes. Level 7, the director. Someone above you fell. That is usually how these promotions happen. Not a clean succession, but a sudden vacuum, a reorg, a sudden departure. A leader walked out by security one Friday, a quiet package and a vague all-hands email about pursuing other opportunities. The person who ran the division for years is gone inside of a week. The chaos that follows is immediate. Everyone is watching to see who steps into the gap and whether they have the weight to hold it. You step in. You hold it. That process is not clean or simple or without cost. There is a stretch of weeks you will not describe to anyone, for any reason, ever. At the end of it, you are a director. There is a structure above you that exists mostly in rooms you are not yet in. Leadership that coordinates many divisions, and the board that feeds money and pressure into the whole system. You report up through channels that are themselves carefully obscured. Pre-reads, skip levels, decisions made before the meeting where the decision is supposedly made. You learn to say things in those rooms that don't sound like what they are, because you know what the listeners are listening for. You are running a real operation now. This is not an exaggeration. You control more of what actually happens in this company than most of the people whose names are on the public org chart. Level 8, the executive. There is no ceremony for this. No one hands you the title in a way that feels real. The people around you simply begin treating you differently, and that difference is the title. You are an executive now, and your authority is recognized by the leadership above you. You have been here 8 years. You have learned to move enormous amounts of power from a single office and a calendar packed in 15-minute blocks. You understand things about how institutions actually work, how information flows, how people can be motivated, that most graduates of any program will never understand, because they have never operated where the consequences of failure are this immediate and this public. You manage directors directly. They manage hundreds beneath them. You have relationships with the board that are never described plainly, but that shape everything about how this place runs day to day. Certain things are permitted, certain things are not. The lines are understood without being written. When someone crosses one, you handle it before it reaches the board, because the board would prefer not to handle it if you handle it first. That arrangement suits everyone. You have also become something you did not expect to become, a judge. People bring you disputes that have nothing to do with your function, because you are known to be fair, known to think before you move, known to land on decisions that everyone can live with. You listen to 2 senior people argue over a thing that goes back 14 months, and you ask questions, and you weigh it, and you render a judgment, and that judgment is final. You think sometimes about what this means, about what you might have been in a different life, where these exact skills pointed somewhere else. You don't spend long on that thought. It isn't useful. Level 9, the legend. You have been at this for 11 years. Your name is known across the industry, not because of any single thing you did, but because of the sustained, consistent application of intelligence and will over more than a decade in an environment built to grind both down to nothing. Younger people who have never met you know your name. It has become something larger than you, and you are careful about it, because a name is a target. It draws recruiters and rivals and reporters. It draws ambitious people who see replacing you as the fastest path to status. You manage your name the way you manage everything else, carefully, strategically. You are also managing something no one talks about when they talk about success, which is the weight of the time itself. 11 years. You came in at 29. You are 40 now. Your body remembers things your mind tries to forget. The relationships that did not survive the hours. The people who moved through this world beside you and are no longer in it. The decisions that seemed necessary and that you still stand behind and that visit you in the hours before dawn when the house is at its quietest. You sleep 4 hours most nights. The rest of the time you think, you plan, you read. You have read more in 11 years than most people read in a lifetime. Strategy, history, psychology, the law of the thing you operate inside. You understand the machine completely now. You could leave. You have enough. You are not sure what you would do with that. You are not sure who you would be. Level 10, the ghost. You left 14 months ago. 14 months ago, you walked out of the building for the last time into a Tuesday that felt strangely flat, and you stood in the parking lot with a phone full of contacts who suddenly had no reason to call, and you felt something you still don't have the right word for. Not relief, not freedom, something more disorienting than either. The world kept moving while you were inside the work. The tools have changed. The names in the headlines are people you've never heard of. The rhythms of ordinary life. The long, unstructured afternoons. The conversations with no agenda. The small human exchanges that other people conduct without thinking do not come naturally anymore. Maybe they never will. You are out, but you are not free. The identity was the job, and the job is gone, and underneath it you are not sure what was load-bearing. Your record follows you. Every introduction gets to the part where they say what you used to be, and you watch their face rearrange. The industry is still out there. People reach out, they are respectful. They acknowledge what you built, what you held, what you sacrificed. They offer you things. Board seats, advisory roles, a way back in. You listen. You don't answer right away. You were trying to do something that 11 years of running an enterprise did not prepare you for. You were trying to be a person. Your daughter is 20 now. She is in college. She doesn't call much. She sends a text sometimes, and you answer it carefully, aware that every word is a negotiation with someone who had every reason to write you off and has chosen, so far, not to. That so far is everything to you. You take long walks. You sleep more than 4 hours, and it unsettles you. You are tired in a way that is completely different from before. It is a clean tiredness. You are not sure what to make of it. Somewhere in a building right now, on a Monday, a young person in clothes that are slightly too formal is being handed a badge with their name spelled almost correctly. They are being walked down a floor where people look up from their monitors the way people looked at you on your first day. They have no idea what they are walking into. They have no idea who they are about to become. They have no idea that the place they are entering has its own complete world inside it, its own economy, its own government, its own laws that run entirely independent of, and often in direct opposition to, the life they thought they were signing up for. They will figure it out. Everyone does. The question is what it costs them to learn. The question is what is left of them when the learning is done. The cycle continues.